All right, so here's how it is to even healthy food can fuck you up. All right, even healthy food. You know what I mean? And the reason why is that, you see, let's look at it if you're a stressed out person, okay? If you're stressed because of these external illusions that we have out here, okay? When you're stressed out, your heart rate, okay, is at a certain frequency, okay? And if we look at the heart, for example, there's a tempo to it, you know what I mean? When it's at a certain frequency. And the word I see tempo, I see tiempo. Tiempo is time in Spanish. And your heart rate is basically connected to this earth. That's why the anagram for heart is earth. This earth is basically linear time over here. All right? So you're out of harmony, you're out of tune to some extent. When you're diseased, you start to hear people say, oh, that person is not sound. You know what I'm saying? See, the heart is an organ just like all the other organs in your body. They emit a frequency just like organs do in a church. All right? Or you know, if one is out of tune, the whole song sounds terrible. They all have to work together. You get what I'm saying? So I look at the body like one big machine. You get what I'm saying? It's not where, you know what I'm saying, you start to I individually separate each part. You get what I'm saying? Because if I am intact, then I am one huge organism. You know what I'm saying? I'm one big machine that's operating here. Unless, like, you cut something off of me, now it's separated from me. You get what I'm saying? But I am intact. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in shape. I'm not bent out of shape. You see, like for example, you have chakras, right? See, each of these chakras, you could deify each of these chakras, but they still work in harmony with each other. See, these chakras are co-governed by the planets, okay? And these are all connected. They have a relation with your organs, okay? And that's why, you know, when you do reflexology in your feet or your hands, there's certain parts of your hand where if you apply pressure, it sends energy to a certain organ in your body, okay? And this is why I look at the chakras, I look at everything as far as, I'm like Voltron. You get what I'm saying? You see how Voltron, you know, can assemble or disassemble? When Voltron comes apart, okay, it is individually doing its thing. You know what I'm saying? Each part of Voltron is doing its thing, but what happens when it assembles? It becomes that one big powerful machine, right? If there's damage to, you know, one of the parts, then of course there's still support from the other one. You know what I'm saying? From the other parts of the machine. I look at the colors, for example. When you look at the red color, right? The next color up is orange. But that color orange is in between the color red and yellow, because the root chakra is red, the solar plexus is yellow, and right in between is orange. But in order for you to make even that color orange, you still need a mix of the red and yellow to have that orange, which is your creativity. The solar plexus is yellow. That's the middle, which is your power, your chi. That's in your stomach, right? The next one up is green, right? And that's your heart. The anagram for heart is earth. The earth is green, right? When you have the next one is your throat. That's blue, right? Like the waters. The waters, you pretty much have the Adam's apple here. You pretty much speak your word through here. They could be words or they could be swords, whichever one, to harm you or hurt you. You know what I mean? You watch your thoughts when you're alone, and then you watch your words when you're around other people, because words misused could be swords. You know what I mean? But check this out. Now, if you have the solar plexus is yellow, right? And then you have the heart is green, and then this is blue. In the middle, that green needs a mix of blue and yellow. Blue and yellow make the color green. You get what I'm saying? So I'm looking at these colors all working together. The chakras work together. You get what I'm saying? And then you have these chakras up here. You have the indigo. The indigo is basically the blue with the white, right? So you kind of make like a lighter shade of blue, maybe mixed in with some red. You get what I'm saying? And you got like an indigo color going. Then you have the purple. Purple, you basically have you know, black, your blues, your reds. You know what I'm saying? You got a mix of the hot and cooler, the cooler and warmer colors. Excuse me. And you know, you got that purple color on the top. So I look at all these colors just like everything working together. It's just like Voltron. You know what I'm saying? Assemble. They all work together. And you strengthen each one of these parts up Like you do a tune-up on each one of them when you start to focus, colors and start using other colors from other chakras to power them up. Using your imagination, you could deify these things. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has colors that mean a certain thing to each person. Like red, when red comes into mind, what's the first thing that comes to mind? You get what I'm saying? Now you can use what first comes to mind, and then you could transmute it to the polar opposite of what it may be. Because let's say it's an unfavorable image of that color red that you have. You know what I'm saying? The polar opposite of that would be something favorable. Balance. You get what I'm saying? A balanced, something balanced. You know what I mean? Not to say that anything is bad or good. It's just a balance of it. You find that middle ground of, since you thought that color, one thing, it could be favorable or unfavorable. Even if you thought of the first thing to be favorable, think of what the polar opposite may be of an unfavorable way. And you find that middle ground. You get what I'm saying? Because you can still use those low energies is basically what you use to power up. You start from that, that bottom floor. That's your foundation. You get what I'm saying? But you want to have a balanced foundation. You working this energy up, throughout the body. Wherever you start to meditate, you start to put focus on certain areas of your body. You start to feel the sensation in that specific area. Like I'll start, for example, on my feet. And, based on certain dreams I've had, I've noticed that I've had to, work on my grounding, my root chakras and all that. And, man, it's life-changing when you start to prioritize certain things that will be beneficial to you. You know what I'm saying? It starts to change everything outside of you because we're programmed to do things physically. When in actuality, if you start to focus on, starting off from, instead of the hustle mentality, just from the subtle mentality, you start to get more done. Things will start to form outside of you a lot differently. You hear what I'm saying? It's just like I mentioned in previous videos where, I'll present something to somebody. Let's say if I'm speaking to somebody, this could work into marketing, can work into anything, but you specifically come out with a certain approach, but in a certain way, it changes the whole perception of the whole feel of the energy just by the way you put it out. You could be saying the same thing in two different ways, but it'll change the way it sounds or looks just by the way you said it. You get what I'm saying? I think I said that pretty well, to get you to understand that part. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to see the source of everything is you. This is how you know. Before you get into anything, make sure you check yourself first, because you are the source. You are the power. You are what's gonna make it happen out here. You see, you are the change that you want to see. But you got to be able to be conscious of that, because the thing is, look how easily negativity could spread. Let's say, for example, somebody's being completely negative, right? They'll put out a negative video, and then all of a sudden somebody else is of that frequency match. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna stimulate that person to engage and involve themselves in that frequency. You hear what I mean? And then that's where it starts to spread like wildfire, because then now other people see that, they want to engage, and then let's say somebody said something a certain way, they want to engage. You know what I'm saying? But let's say but it all started from the actual person that started to put out that information. So if that person, let's say, put out a video of something favorable, you know what I mean, to empower him or herself, it's going to empower everybody else. You know what I'm saying? The whole the whole content of the video, even the comments underneath, everything is going to change. Everything. It's not going to be in the frequency where it'll put people to comment in a negative way. You get what I'm saying? You'll occasionally get these trolls, but that's what it's for. It's there for distraction and what you engage in. It's like, for example, like if I'm strong-minded, not how I was before, but let's say if I'm driving on the road and then, somebody is, cutting me off, right? Let's say I did something on the road to piss somebody off, but I didn't do it purposely. And then somebody comes at me and then starts, arguing or cursing at me or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? If I engage in that, I belong in the frequency or level of that person. You know what I'm saying? Because I decided to involve myself in that level. You know what I'm saying? But when you're at such a high frequency, those things don't even bother you anymore. You know what I'm saying? There was one time the guy started cursing at me. Back then, I would have probably got out of the car and been like, yo, what the fuck? What's up? But, I literally looked at him like if he was like a small peon, like dirt under my fucking fingernails. That's how I looked at him. And I just like looked at him like that and kept it moving. Right? Now, he probably feels good about himself, right? But I feel good about myself too. So it's a win-win situation. You get what I'm saying? Now, if I get out and engage and I punch him in the face, I'll feel good about myself, but he's not going to feel good about himself. Or if it could be the other way around. You get what I'm saying? So make it where it's a win-win situation for everybody, right? That's why I've decided to, if I'm talking to religious people, but this is the beauty part about having an open mind and a balanced mentality, where you can see different points of view. There's people that I speak to and I'll talk to them and I could sit, they're like, I'll tell them something and then they want to, you know, kind of, go in a different direction as far as to what they think of what I said. You get what I'm saying? And I have no problem with that, because the point is that I see where they're coming from and what their information is presenting to me. You get what I'm saying? So there'll be a point where you could see your point of view, but you could also see their point of view. You get what I'm saying? But if that person doesn't see your point of view, there ain't no point in convincing that person to see your point of view. Just whatever. You know that you saw. So yeah, you're right. Because he technically is right. Because if you could see his point of view or her point of view, right, you can give that person the credit that, yeah, they are right. Right? And then that person will feel good about him or herself. And I'll feel good about myself because I saw my point of view, but I also saw his or her point of view. Right? But that person never got to see my point of view. But the fact that I agreed, it was a win-win for everybody. You get what I'm saying? And this is how things I've noticed start to work more harmonious. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting anything back, but it's basically a level of the fact that I'm protecting my energies. All right? I'm protecting my energies, and I'm not deciding to engage in anything to try to convince anybody of anything anymore like I used to, because that I noticed was more of an ego, coming into play. And if you don't agree with anything I say, for example, when you watch a video, I've already mentioned it 2 videos back. And the last 3 videos I mentioned, I said, you have such power to just hit the button to just slide to the right or left and keep it moving. Go to another video. You hear what I'm saying? It's like I mentioned before, you listen to info, you extract what you need. If it serves you, you take it. And if it doesn't serve you, you shit it out. Just like your body, when you eat food, you take the nutrients and you shit out what you don't need. If you hold on to shit, what happens? You're going to have blockages. And what happens when you can't take a shit? You don't feel good, right? So these little things are things that have helped me out significantly along the way, honestly. All right? There is nothing where you have to pretty much go and say hope for humanity, or, you know what I mean, try to change anything outside of you. It starts from you. If you change, everything outside of you just magically starts to change. You get what I'm saying? And again, there'll be the occasional trolls. That happens. But when those things come up, see, here's the thing. It's about how you handle that, right? If you decide to involve yourself in that, then you belong with those people. You get what I'm saying? You belong there. Because if you eat like a god, you don't need that. I don't need that. So I'm going to continue to eat like a god. All right? And I don't need to eat much because I've become way more efficient. Right? And when you are not efficient, you're equivalent to a car that has to keep getting filled up with gas every time. And all you're doing is wasting money. And you got to keep going for that money if you're doing it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? But, I've mentioned that part about money in many other videos and how that works. But, you have to be in a state of being. Like right now, like I said, I'm in a state of being where see, here's the thing. There's a balance where you want to strive for more. But striving for more, I want it to be where I empower myself first. So the effects of my expansion, financial gains here outside in this human life, okay, they'll grow just because of an effect of me empowering myself spiritually. And everything that happens in the spirit realm trickles down here into the physical realm. Okay? Now, I've heard a lot of, a few Brother Panic's videos, and things like that. Just, it hits you because I'm like, fuck, that's so fucking true. And it connects dots to things that you have already been thinking about. And it's basically because you're a frequency match. You're able to listen to that information. You get what I'm saying? If I am not of that frequency match, I will not, I could listen, I'll be hearing it, but it won't hit me. It won't impact me at all. Because the person could be as impactful as possible, but if it's not impacting me, it's not hitting me. I'm just that's a zombie. That's an unconscious person. If somebody's sleeping and you're trying to talk to them, they're not going to listen to you. They're listening to you technically, but they're not registering what you're telling them. You know what I'm saying? Physically. And that could go into a deep topic because that goes into subconscious. And like I've even mentioned this where if kids fall asleep in school, even though they're being taught something, they're still getting indoctrinated because it's going into the subconscious. When they're sleeping, it's going straight into the subconscious. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I've talked about that before, and that's a deep topic, you know, and I don't want to make this video too long. But basically, that's all I'm going to talk about right now. You know, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk soon.